Good morning, and welcome to Mr. Murphy's Science Classroom. And I wanted to discuss a gizmo called rock cycle, and I'm going to work particularly on the bottom section of the document on rock cycle, and that would be the practice A through D. And so if you're looking at this and you have your gizmo up, which I do, you're looking at these practices. It says list the steps that would cause each transformation below. And the first one they give us is intrusive igneous rocks to sedimentary rocks. Now, going through all of the other questions up here and trying each one of these and going through, you should have gained a little bit of knowledge on how to go through each one of these cycles. So, and hopefully through this diagram that helped you as well. When you look at the practice, so it says intrusive igneous rock into sedimentary rock. So I'm going to go over to my gizmo, and I'm going to look for intrusive igneous rock here on my gizmo, and I'm going to push that. Okay, so if you're looking at that, right, it gives a little title of what it is, kind of gives you an idea of what it looks like, and we're going to go from there. So what I want to do is I want to know what, or think about what things would create sedimentary rock, because that is my question, right? We're going to sedimentary. And if I look at this, would melting bring me to sedimentary rock? So if I melted the intrusive igneous rock, right, and it would turn into magma, if you remember from when you did the previous part of the gizmo, that wouldn't actually bring me to sedimentary rock. So then we have exposure and weathering, right? Exposure means that you're open to the atmosphere and you're breaking rock down. So if you think about it, sedimentary rock, right, is made of sediments, right, or broken down other parts of rock. So that may be an answer. It says increase temperature and pressure. So if I increase the temperature and pressure, right, what am I going to get? So let's try each one of these. So if I go back, to the melt, what does it bring me, right? Brings me to magma like I thought it would. And then if I keep going, you notice it only gives me crystallization, right? And in this case, it says when magma, right, cools below the surface, right, intrusive igneous rocks such as granite are formed. So that's not going to be our choice. So let's start again. And I'm going to go back to my igneous rock, right? And I'm going to go to exposure and weathering. So now we've broken down into soil parts, right? So and they gradually break down. So we're going to talk about all of these parts. And then it says erosion and deposition. Now, if you look at what we're talking about, right, we're talking about sedimentary rock. So let's see what erosion and deposition brings us. It brings us sediments. So we're a little bit closer, right, to where we are, where we're supposed to be. So, now we have sediments. So the sediments are transported by wind and stuff so that it, gets to a different point. And then we're going to push lithification and compaction. And if you look, we get sedimentary rock. So that is actually the process. Now, what you can do with the gizmo is if you look at your path, right, we can look at our path, right, and it says intrusive igneous rock to soils to sediment to sedimentary rock. And so it asks us to list the steps which cause each transition below. So igneous rocks, right, in this case, right, we break it down into soil, right? And if you remember, let's take a look at this again. Remember, we're going to start again, igneous rock, and we used exposure and weathering, right? So weathering would be part of it, right? So we're going to put weathering, a comma, and then it says erosion and deposition, right? So erosion and deposition. I don't want to be deposition, sorry. Right. And then going back, we have lithification and compaction. So lithification. And so that's the way we go about doing that. So if you look, right, our intrusive igneous rock to sedimentary rock is weathering, erosion, deposition, and lithification and compaction. So let me do one more, the metamorphic to sedimentary, or to sediment, right? So we're just going to sediment. And if you think back, right, we should have a pretty good idea of how this goes. So we're going to look for metamorphic rock. So let's pull up our metamorphic. It's down at the bottom. So we pull up our metamorphic. And if you think about what we did before, right, we exposed that rock, that igneous rock, to weathering, right? So it would be exposure and weathering, and that would bring us soil. I'm going to type that in here, weathering, and that brings us soil. So our next, right, erosion and deposition, and that brings us our sediments. So you can see that's all you have to do is you have to go through the gizmo, pick your rock that you start with or whatever you start with. See, this is sediment, right? So we can actually start where we were. And if you need to, if you can't remember what you did, there's always the path button, and it can show you how we got there with the arrows, and it points to the direction. So hopefully that was helpful, and I will, help you if you need anything else. I can send these videos out individually, or I can send it out as a group. So give me a buzz if you need something, and I can create one of these videos for you. Have a good day.